Bye.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. See you in a while.
Good morning. Our opening words this morning are All of Us Are Beautiful by Thomas Rhodes. We come in a variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. Some of us grow in bunches. Some of us grow alone. Some of us are cupped inward. Some of us spread ourselves out wide. Some are old and dried and tougher than we appear. Some of us are still in bud. Some of us grow low to the ground. And some of us stretch for the sun. Some of us feel like weeds sometimes. Some of us carry seeds sometimes. Some of us are prickly sometimes. Some of us smell. And all of us are beautiful. What a bouquet of people we are. What a bouquet of people we are. And so, I just want to welcome you with live from Fellowship Hall. It's our LCUUF Sunday service. Our announcements were on a slideshow before the service. If you didn't see them, don't worry. They will be sent by email in the next day or so. A few notes. This is our first service in which we formally opened the building to all participants. We will continue to offer our service on Zoom, even as we welcome people to the building. Now we are still somewhat limited in our seating to 75% of capacity as required by the state government, and we ask people here to continue to wear masks in the building to better protect those of us who are immunocompromised or not fully vaccinated yet. Finally, if you were expecting a service on craving today, we're sorry. There was a bit of a mix-up in the message, and that service will be in 2 weeks. We hope you find today's service meaningful. Our chalice lighting words today are by Jean-Claude Barbier, a member of the Anglais, Unitarian, Francophone. These are adapted. Each time I see a flower, I think of you. Each time I see a flower, I think of us. For we gather flowers, do we not? So that they may bloom in a fan-shaped rainbow. and make up lovely bouquets, making up our fellowship. They say there are so many of them in the fields of our shared dreams, so beautiful and lively that they run and dance in the meadows, celebrating life in a frolic of freedom. Please light your chalice.
We kindle this light in celebration for the life that we share.
Our hymn is number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Each week, we take time to remind ourselves that we belong to a community which cares for each other. We do this by sharing any significant joys or sorrows in our lives. If you have a joy or sorrow to share today, you can type it into the chat now, and we'll read those aloud. First, let us voice our sorrows or concerns, whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. You are welcome to type sorrows and concerns in the chat box. And we have a microphone for those of you in the audience.
We have a
sorrow
concern.
today.
Oh.
Let me just jump ahead here. Sorry, Colleen.
No worries.
That Monica Devine was found unconscious in her home Thursday morning, and she was taken to the San Antonio Hospital and then later to the public hospital in Guadalajara. She was in a coma due to a brain aneurysm, and sadly, she has shown no improvement. I'm very sorry.
From the audience, we have a concern from Trudy and Luke Crippen, who say, please light 2 candles in silent concern. A concern from myself, Colleen, which is concern and sorrow for the tragic building collapse in Surfside, Florida. Hoping all will come together to comfort those who lost family and friends there. That's all for now.
All right. Now let us recall the joys Whatever you may be celebrating, whatever evokes a feeling of joy or peace for yourself or others, you are welcome to type joys in the chat box.
We have a joy from Lynn Cleek, who says, my mom, Valerie, is back in her casita, happy to be home after 2 months in the States. We have a joy from Hannah and Howard Frederick, who give a shout of joy to the care team and everyone who helped us with splints and tramites in May. We got permanent residency, flew back to New Hampshire, packed, and drove back to Ajijic after an uneventful trip with trailer from New Hampshire through to Laredo in 8 days. We are looking forward to catching up and making new friends and to make some contribution to the fellowship. We have a joy from Joni, who says Susie Lindemann's wheelchair project successfully got chairs to locals who truly need them. See the Guadalajara Reporter. Lots of work by Susie and the Rotary. That's all.
And this candle from our care team represents those sorrows that are too raw, too difficult for us to share aloud. So many of us have had losses, partners, children, grandchildren, losses that remain present with us every day. So many of us have had burdens, have burdens, anger, fear, and frustration. All of those things that weigh heavy on our hearts. We will light this candle for all those unspoken sorrows.
Today's reading is from the Unitarian Universalist Association and is adapted. The Unitarian Universalist Flower Communion service, which we are about to celebrate, originated in 1923 and was created by Dr. Norbert Čapek, who was the founder of the modern Unitarian movement in Czechoslovakia. Reverend Norbert Čapek ministered to a Unitarian church in Prague in the 1930s. Čapek had immigrated to America from Czechoslovakia, had discovered Unitarianism in America. He went back to Prague, to his homeland, to start a church with support from the American Unitarian Association. Now, the Sunday services were typical for the Unitarian churches of those days. The whole service was oftentimes just one long sermon. As one of my preaching teachers would say, too many words. Even though Čapek was a great speaker, the services were a bit too dry, a bit heady, a bit too intellectual, and people complained. So Čapek added hymns and explored ritual. He realized that just borrowing rituals from other churches wouldn't do. Many of his members were ex-Catholics, and so they objected to anything like communion wafers, for example. So Čapek created what he called the flower ceremony. On the last Sunday before the summer, everyone, children and adults, were invited to bring a flower to church. They left with a different flower than they brought. The meaning of this ritual was that we're all different, we're all beautiful, and in this community we share our gifts, our diversity and beauty with one another. Čapek's church became very successful as a Unitarian church, growing to some 3,000 members. As many of you know, this story ends sadly. When the Nazis invaded Czechoslovakia, threw Čapek in prison and ultimately murdered him in a death camp. So the flower celebration holds multiple emotions for us, both a sense of joy and beauty and community, mixed with a sense of sadness and loss, recognizing and upholding the courage of this man in a time of oppression.
This is a poem by the Lebanese American poet Khalil Gibran. It is titled Song of the Flower. I am a kind word uttered and repeated by the voice of nature. I am a star fallen from the blue tent upon the green carpet. I am the daughter of the elements with whom winter conceived, to whom spring gave birth. I was reared in the lap of summer, and I slept in the bed of autumn. At dawn, I unite with the breeze to announce the coming of light. At eventide, I join the birds in bidding the light farewell. The plains are decorated with my beautiful colors, and the air is scented with my fragrance. As I embrace slumber, the eyes of night watch over me, and as I awaken, I stare at the sun, which is the only eye of the day. I drink dew for wine and hearken to the voices of the birds and dance to the rhythmic swaying of the grass. I am the lover's gift. I am the wedding wreath. I am the memory of a moment of happiness. I am the last gift of the living to the dead. I am part of joy and a part of sorrow. But I look up high to see only the light and never look down to see my shadow. This is the wisdom which man must learn.
This is a poem by Unitarian Universalist minister and poet Lynn Unger, entitled Camas Lilies. Consider the lilies of the field, the blue banks of Camas opening into acres of sky along the road. Would the longing to lie down and be washed by that beauty abate if you knew of their usefulness, how the natives ground their bulbs for flour, how the settlers' hogs uprooted them, grunting in gleeful oblivion as the flowers fell? And you, what of your rushed and useful life? Imagine setting it all down, papers, plans, appointments, everything, leaving only a note, gone to the fields to be lovely, be back when I'm through with blooming. Even now, unneeded and uneaten, the camas lilies gaze out above the grass from their tender blue eyes. Even in sleep, your life will shine. Make no mistake, of course your work will always matter. Yet Solomon, in all his glory, was not arrayed like one of these.
The following poem is entitled How Everything Adores Being Alive. It was written by Mary Oliver. What if you were a beetle and a soft wind and a certain allowance of time had summoned you out of your wrappings, and there you were, so many legs hardening, maybe even more than one pair of eyes, and the whole world in front of you.
And what if you had wings and flew into the garden and then fell into the uplifted face of a white flower?
And what if you had a sort of a mouth, a lip to place close to the skin of honey that kept offering itself?
What would you think then of the world as night and day you were kept there? Oh, happy prisoner, sighing and humming and roaming that cut that deep cup.
Most Unitarian Universalist congregations celebrate flower communion just before the beginning of the summer, which is when Norbert Chopik started this service almost a century ago. So we're late. But our seasons are different here in Mexico. We don't speak so much of winter, spring, and summer. Our recent big seasonal transition was from the dry season to the rainy season. The timing is not down to the minute as the equinoxes are. We learned about that in our service last week. However, people who have lived here a long time know when to expect the rains. Liz and I were hiking up above the Topalo waterfall a couple of weeks ago, and we ran into Reuben, who plants corn, beans, and squash in his field of milpa up in the Ejido lands up there. Even though it was still dry as a bone, he was planting his seeds. He explained to us that the rainy season would start at the conclusion of the Feast of San Antonio. And sure enough, it did, to the day. On my recent hikes, I've noticed the rapid changes of the seasons. Well before the rains came, many plants started growing, sending out buds and shoots, anticipating the coming rain, the moisture. When the rains did come, the plants quickly burst forth, unwrapping new green leaves, vines dropping tendrils, and flowers beginning to bud. Already there are flowers, some already fully open, others budding, getting ready for later. With the flowers, especially with their growth, we are reminded of the energy of life. Sun and rain and earth transform into the complexity and variety of living forms, plants, beetles, birds, animals. Flowers embody that variety in their multitude of colors and shapes, each kind having its place in the ecosystem, attracting certain pollinators but not others. For us, flowers symbolize a similar variety in our lives, a sense that each of us is unique, that each of us brings different gifts to those around us. That each of us in this community and into the world, just as we enjoy these vases with arrangements containing a variety of different flowers, we cherish the human variety that surrounds us. Flower ceremony is a little different this year, as so many things are a little different this year due to the pandemic. We will be passing flowers, adding a layer of symbolism to the flower communion. As the flowers go hand over hand, virtually on screen or in real life, we are reminded how we possess certain gifts and lack others. And so we depend on one another for the overall flow of our lives. So the flower ceremony itself reminds us of our interconnectedness to each other and to all life on the planet. The flower ceremony reminds us that each of us is unique and precious, that our lives are richer because of the presence of all our friends and comrades among us. So let us begin. When Dr. Chapek conducted his flower communion in Prague, say these words as flowers. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessing on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us, amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts, to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of one another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship. May we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, our efforts, the efforts of all of us, are needed to do thy work in the world. And so now we will have a video of many of you passing flowers, followed by flowers here in the room. And I trust my microphone is muted at the moment. May these flowers in their diverse designs and colors remind us of our diversity of gifts and talents. Together, the flowers form a beautiful bouquet, reminding us of our beauty as numerous persons coming together in this fellowship. These flowers have been touched by many hands, some singly, some in groups, some in places far away, some here in this room. May the fact that so many hands have held these flowers remind us of our interconnection to one another, whether close by or far away. Blessed be.
This is the time in our service when we ask that you remember that we share our gifts here through pledging and donations. Instructions for payments to the fellowship are on a slide during the announcements before the service every week. And while you are considering your gifts to the fellowship, remember that each month LCUUF donates 5,000 pesos or more to an organization providing food aid in our lakeside community. For the month of June, we've been supporting Food Bank Lakeside. When you pay your pledge, please add something for Share the Basket, as you used to place, as we are today, placing pesos in our physical basket. You can donate in the same way that you pay your pledge, but please donate Share the Basket separately. Indicate what part of your donation is for Share the Basket. Your offerings are gratefully received. Let us extinguish our chalices with these words which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world.
These words are Navajo words. Beauty is before me and behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it, and in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty, it is begun. In beauty, it is ended.